Kroger presents Signing Day Spotlight, a video series profiling some of the top players in Georgia's 2021 recruiting class. And now, here are your hosts, DawgNation's Jeff Sintel and former UGA All-American Jon Stinchcomb.
War room time, and what's the best way to figure out one of those nasty defensive linemen? It's to go with one of the all-time greats at Georgia who had to defuse those ticking time bombs for your schemes. We're going to talk about Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins. Ended up rated as the number 2 overall defensive tackle in the pure isolated 24/7 sports ranking. I think he was number 10 overall when you counted in all the other ratings for the blend. But for me, John, you watch his senior film, and I think somehow he swallowed the grow-up pill and he found another gear to his play. But the thing to remember about Dawkins is, man, about, 8-9 months, like January, his body changed, man. He was a basketball player. He's about 6'4", 6'5", 240. People were thinking edge guy. And he puts on like 50 pounds, man. And he changes himself into, I think he could be the 3. I don't think he can play a shade or a 0, but I think he could be a 3. I think he could probably be a 5. John, when you look at Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, man, where's he going to be at Georgia? Where's the initial fit?
Well, anytime you're talking about guys this high up the list at D tackle, you know they can move people. They're super physical. But what jumps out, what separates them from the other D linemen that you're looking at is his first step. I mean, his first step when that ball is snapped is explosive. He plays with great leverage, as most D linemen that are this highly rated do. But man, I mean, you watch him and he comes off the ball smoking. As it translates, probably not a nose guard. These hybrid, everybody starts in a 3-4 just because of the flexibility and the confusion that you can create for an offense. So in that 3-4 scheme, he's probably going to be lined up directly across from an offensive tackle, which would be listed as a defensive end. Really, it's just a 3 technique that's bumped out another 18 inches in front of the tackle. You still have that outside linebacker edge rusher coming off. So he's going to be one of those mismatch D-end, 3 technique, D-tackle in a 4-3 scheme. That's going to be a problem. You keep mounting up. Each year, Georgia keeps recruiting these guys that first thing that jumps off the page at you is their athleticism, their quickness to cause problems. They're edging these offensive linemen immediately. And Tyrion is no different. I mean, the guy is, one, his physicality is something that's remarkable. 2, he plays with great leverage. But 3, and probably most important, is that quickness, the quickness to get on a player's edge and create problems. He's in the backfield more snaps than he's not. And it's because of his first step. He's one of those D tackles that you can see immediately why he's so highly rated, just because of the problems that he creates every down.
Now, Tyrion, I guess you're going to chalk this one up as a huge, maybe Tiger Woods fist pump for Trey Scott, because in the state of South Carolina, the last few years, they'd lost Zach Pickens, Jordan Birch, a lot of the big name guys that Georgia went after in the state of South Carolina. They ended up choosing the Gamecocks. Now, Georgia gets Tyrion, and I don't know, John, is there a guy kind of like him at Georgia right now? He was the Mr. Football now for South Carolina. He was deemed by the coaches and the reporters and the people in that state as the number 1 player in South Carolina in this class. John, is there anybody at Georgia that you think he's like, or is he just going to be his own dude here?
Nah, I mean, he's shaped different than like a Trayvon or a Jalen Carter. I mean, his bottom half he's got some thickness there, buddy. I mean, he's able to use that leverage and power, but he's quick like them. You know what I mean? He's got that athleticism, not quite that same. That's his only stroke. That's his go-to, but he's got it in his bag. But I don't think we've got a player like him right now on the roster. And quite honestly, if there's still a hole that I would see, it's that Jordan Davis up-and-comer. You tell me, but none of these D linemen right now that we've signed either this past year or even in this class really fits that 3-4 nose guard, 2-gapping monster that you can't dig up and dig out as an offensive line from that nose position. So that's not his game. That's not TID. I'm going to shorten it up and make it easy for me. TID's game. I mean, he's one of those guys you want on your roster because you can see him as that 3-4 defensive end in that rush situation where he bumps into that 3 technique. He's a problem for a guard, but he's not the nose guard that's going to replace Jordan Davis. That's not what you should expect for him or from him. He's more of a playmaking, lined up over the guard, lined up over the tackle, athletic, thick defensive lineman that anybody wants to fill that space. He's just not a Jordan Davis.
Yeah, I think those guys are very hard to find, those 2-gap tackles. I think it changes the way people defend Georgia. I think it changes what people try to run against Georgia. It changes the way Georgia defends folks as well. When you have a big 2-gapper like Jordan Davis in there, so big, moves so well. Not a lot of those guys around. That's Jon Stinchcomb. I'm Jeff Sintel. I wish I had some practice film. We've talked about all these offensive linemen, and then you got to imagine the battles. The iron sharpens iron with Trayvon Walker, Jalen Carter. TID is Jon Stinchcomb so expertly shorten that thing down so you don't trip over a name like it's coming through the chute or coming through the ropes. This has been the War Room. You can only get this stuff on DawgNation.com. Thank you, John, and thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. For more info on UGA recruiting, check out DawgNation.com. And a special thanks to our sponsor, Kroger, fresh for everyone.